Hey everyone, this is Haley from Card Savers, and escapism may be just around the corner, but I want to get in probably one of the most out there theories I've covered in a while before the new episode drops. I premiered this video early on Card Savers Tomino, where our fan club members got a first look at this video plus one other, so if you'd like to get early access to our videos, plus a lot of other cool things, consider joining our fan club. But without further ado, let's talk about today's theory topic. And that is the possibility that the gem in control of Homeworld is not the one we have all been led into thinking was in charge. What if White Pearl is secretly controlling White Diamond and is the true leader of Homeworld? Okay, I know that does sound pretty crazy, and I'm not sure I believe this theory just yet, but let's take a look at all the evidence and decide just how crazy it is after. Let's start off by talking about what we know about White Pearl and White Diamond. In Together Alone, it seems all but explicitly stated that the pearl that serves White Diamond used to serve Pink Diamond, and likely went under the name Pink Pearl. This pearl was a little too into the games that Pink played, and perhaps even encouraged Pink Diamond to not follow Homeworld's rules. But then, something happened where Pink Diamond may have went a little bit too far, and Pink Pearl was blamed for her actions. There are a lot of blanks that still need to be filled in here, but we can see that this pearl's form was permanently altered, with her left eye being totally erased with the cracks on the side near where her left eye used to be. In addition, she is completely white, or bleached. Speculation has ranged from Pink Diamond hurting the pearl during one of her tantrums, damaging the pearl and necessitating a new one to replace her, to this being the result of a punishment where Pink Pearl was robbed of all light, thus causing her to lose all color and cause damage to her physical form permanently. Or maybe it's some combination of those things, since permanently altering a gem's physical form without harming the gem has never been seen as drastically as making a gem lose an entire eye. But that's where White Diamond comes in. It is possible that White Diamond felt the need to start using this pearl after Pink Diamond misused her. Most of the speculation regarding White Diamond's powers had been surrounding the possibility that she can assume direct control of gems by essentially possessing them and turning them into her puppets. This is exactly what we see with White Pearl, who acts like a puppet and even has White Diamond's voice. This power seems to extend to even powerful gems, such as other diamonds, as looks to be the case in the Battle for Heart and Mind trailer. But if this is the case, then it makes no sense that White Pearl could be in charge. But what if something happened where White Diamond was attempting to possess White Pearl for the first time that led to the servant becoming the master? Perhaps the gem we see in the little memories Steven has of her later had to be forcibly removed because she became too enamored with Pink Diamond's ideas of freedom and rebellion, and started taking things too far. Pink Diamond was given a new pearl, and Pink Pearl was given to White Diamond to become her puppet. I think it would be very interesting that at this point things went wrong, and while normally it would be easy for White Diamond to control a gem, there was something different about this pearl that made her difficult to control. Perhaps this pearl had learned about being an individual from Pink Diamond, and from that was able to more effectively avoid being mind controlled. As a tangent, I wonder if White Diamond will ever try to mind control Steven, and due to him being half human, it'd be very hard for her to do so. And if Steven and Connie fuse into Savani again, I see that as their best chance at being able to ward off possession. But as for a normal gem like a pearl, as far as we know, it'd be impossible to not fall under the influence of White Diamond's powers, simply because she is so powerful. No regular gem has even been able to resist blue nor yellow's powers for long, and White Diamond is likely the strongest of all gems. So for a pearl to not only be able to resist mind control, but to fight back sounds like a bit of a stretch, but who knows? Perhaps the strongest mind can come from the smallest of gems. Anyways, an internal battle went on inside their minds that caused White Pearl's form to crack, but eventually this pearl won out. By taking control of White Diamond, she herself became devoid of all color and even took on White Diamond's voice. But if this were to happen, this is not the same pearl we saw in Together Alone, and White Diamond's personality is very robotic, which leads me to believe that there may have been some level of fusing that happened between their two minds. Notice how White Diamond never speaks in the first person. White Diamond could be speaking for all gems on Homeworld, but I think this is a cool alternative. These two gems have merged where both have become husks of their former selves, but if White Pearl was the one who was being more in charge, that would be a huge twist that would change a lot once again. But even if you don't believe this, you have to agree that there is something off about the fact that White Diamond has not left Homeworld for thousands of years, and did not even bother to attend the ball Steven threw. Instead, White Pearl was the one to show up. As her puppet, White Diamond could see through the eyes of this pearl. But if all along it was White Pearl who wanted to go, it would make more sense for this to happen anyways. This pearl that Pink Diamond once owned becoming the main villain of the series would be quite interesting, as their big threat would no longer be from a massive diamond, but from a pearl. Now there's definitely some holes in this theory at the moment, as for any of this to make sense a lot of guesswork needs to be done. Learning about what happened to Pink Pearl will definitely clear things up, and I'm excited to learn more about that. In addition, it would have made sense that if there was something truly wrong with White Diamond's actions, the other diamonds surely would have noticed it. It has been a long time since Pink Diamond's disappearance, and they are the gems that know her the best. Perhaps they never bothered to question her and her recent actions, but otherwise this is a pretty big discrepancy with this theory. And currently this theory does not have the amount of evidence for that there was with Rose Quartz being Pink Diamond, or even for White Pearl originally belonging to Pink Diamond. But you know me, I'm all for those cool sounding theories, so here we are. I've also heard theories about the possibility that White Pearl is now a ghost, or simply a projection, as she can go through walls despite still appearing to have a gem. So I know something is up with White Diamond and her pearl, as I'm sure all of you watching are. But we will have to keep watching Seniors to find out exactly what happened all those years ago. Let me know what you thought of this theory and what you think is going on with these two. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy our content and click the notification bell to receive a reminder for any new videos we upload. We still have a few more episodes until season 5 is finished, so we will definitely be making many more videos until we are back onto the hiatus. Thank you all for watching and have an animated day.